Hello, Chris Thompson here again from Amigakit, and today I will be talking about the Amiga 1200 again. Only not the actual system this time, but something that is inside the trapdoor. So if I can get into the trapdoor, turn the trapdoor cover off, you can see inside there is a card which I will take out so you can see this better. See if I can get this thing out. There we go. So this card, which is made by Amigakit, it is a A1200 8MB RAM. That's flash RAM. That's fast RAM. Fast memory. And the reason why I said flash, this also comes with 4 meg flash, which can be used to put kickstart ROMs on there. You can put resident modules on there. I will talk about these at a later date. I won't come to that in this video. I'll just show you this working and everything, and I'll show you a configuration of it in a later date. This doesn't actually come with an FPU, but you can have an FPU put in it, so then you can have an FPU in the Amiga. I did have an FPU put in there, and that's a 68882 running at 40 megahertz. There isn't a lot of games or anything that uses FPU, but there is a lot of like graphic intense things that use FPUs, such as 3D modeling programs and stuff like that. I just got one mainly because it's an extra upgrade basically. I thought I might as well pay the extra money and get an FPU on the card. I also bought, to go with this, is a little extra chip that plugs into, you get 2 clock ports on this. There's a clock port inside the Amiga 1200 itself, but you get 2 clock ports on here, so you end up with 3 clock ports. But one of them has got like a little outline around it. Don't know if you can see that. And you can plug this into it, which is an RTC, or real-time clock, battery backed up RTC. So when you plug this into here, you get it back in, that keeps the time basically. So like in your PC or your Mac or whatever you use these days, they all have real-time clocks, but the Amiga didn't have a real-time clock. So yeah, that basically adds real-time clock. So your clock on Workbench and everything will be up to date. So you'll have the time as it should be and the date as it should be and whatnot. Anyway, so this card, as I said, is 8 meg of RAM. The 1200 comes with 2 meg of chip RAM built in, and this is 8 meg of fast RAM. The difference between chip RAM, which is also known as graphics RAM, but yeah, that's yeah. It shouldn't really be known as graphics RAM because it's not. But anyway, chip RAM is not used exclusively by the CPU, it's used by all the chips in the Amiga, hence why it's called chip RAM. I used to think it was called chip RAM because it was built-in chip in the Amiga, but no. It's because it's used by all of like the special chips in there, like Agnes and Paula and whatever else. Lisa, Alice, yeah, I'll go into all that stuff at a later date when I talk about the specs of the Amiga, which I will do in a future video. Anyway, going back to this, so it's got 8 meg of fast RAM. So fast RAM is actually exclusively used by the CPU. So when you have this plugged in, anything that gets put into fast RAM will be a lot faster because it'll be on fast RAM, hence why it's called fast RAM, and it won't be getting used by chip RAM. And it's exclusively used by the CPU, and it's not getting bottlenecked by anything else. And yeah, so I have this set up with a few Kickstart ROMs on here, which I will put this back into the Amiga, and I will come back and show you what Kickstart ROMs I have on here. Okay, so I have the card back in the 1200 now, and the bog standard default Kickstart on the Commodore A1200s, because they did actually bring out a SCOM variant of the A1200, which I will talk about in videos at a later date of why there was an SCOM version. This comes with Kickstart 3.0, which if you don't have a disc in, a hard drive or a floppy, you get this screen with the disc going in and out, the tick, the Amiga tick, and 3.0 ROM, 39.106, copyright 1985-1992 Commodore Amiga. And I actually have on disc a piece of software called Amiga Test Kit. So if I load that up, it will say there that it's using a 68020, it's AGA PAL 50Hz. So this is basically an Amiga 1200 because it's got 68020 AGA, and it's PAL because it's a UK model, and it's using Kickstart 3.0 because that is the Kickstart that comes on the Commodore A1200 out of the box. You can actually burn your own ROMs, but you have to have a ROM burner to be able to do this, which I have, but I will show you that at a later date because I don't have it to hand at the minute. But with this card that I have from Amigakit, you don't need to do that. So I will do a reset, and if I hold down F1 and wait a bit, it comes up with Amigakit A1200 RAM / flash board, and it'll give you some RAM settings. So it says as jumpered, so I've got a jumper in that makes it so it's using 8 meg of fast RAM, but you can click it, turn it off completely. So 8 meg fast, 4 meg fast plus 1.5 meg ranger, which is also known as slow memory. 4 meg fast, and the reason for putting it down to 4 meg fast, or the 4 meg with 1.5 ranger, is if you want to use a PCM CIA card, which the 8 meg fast RAM is actually using the same address lines as the PCM CIA card, so you've got to drop your memory down to 4 meg to be able to use that. I'll put it back to 8 meg now, and you see I'm using onboard kick, which is 3.0. I actually set that up as a configuration, which I will show you later, as I said. I have Kickstart 1.3, which was actually only available for the Amiga 500, but if I click on reboot, that has now rebooted into Kickstart 1.3. So I could now put a disc in there that uses Kickstart 1.3, and it'll actually play those games. But if I get my Amiga test kit disc again and place it in and load that up, it's actually going to now tell me that I actually am using Kickstart 1.3. So now what I will do is I will reset again and hold F1. And the funny thing is, when you've got the Kickstart 1.3 loaded up, Amigakit have actually made the menu so that it looks like 1.3 as well. So now I will change the option to 3.1, which 3.1 was actually only available originally in the SCOM variants of the Amiga 1200, but you could get it as a chip as well to upgrade your 1200 to that. So if I now reboot, and wait a little while, it takes a little bit longer to boot into 3.1, sorry. And there we have it. It looks similar to how it did before, only now it says I'm running 3.1 ROM, 40.068. And to show that I actually am, I'll put the Amiga test kit in again. And yes, we're definitely running Kickstart 3.1. And I'll do a restart again, F1. It's going to take a while to go into the menu because it's actually booting the ROM. So well, there we go. So if I now change this now to Amiga OS 3.14, which was the latest version of Amiga OS to come out by Hyperion, and I go reboot again, you got to wait a little while again because these are quite big ROMs, so they take a while to boot up with all the modules that they have on them. And there we have it. It looks similar to how it did before, only now it has what's known as the boing ball. And it says 3.1.4 ROM, Kickstart version 46.143, copyright 2018, Hyperion Entertainment. So not Commodore anymore. And those who should know about Commodores and Amigas and whatnot, Commodore went bankrupt a long time ago, so yeah. And if I go once again into Amiga test kit, it shows I definitely am on Kickstart 3.1.4. And last but not least, we have Amiga OS 3.2, which is the latest version of Amiga OS for the classic Amigas, that is, because there is 3.5, 3.9 and 4.0, but they're not for the classic Amigas, so I'm not going to go into that anyway. So 3.2, which is the latest one, like I said, for the classic Amigas. I do actually have this set as my default config, so as soon as I boot into my Amiga, it'll use 3.2 rather than the onboard 3.0. So if I reboot into this, it looks the same as 3.14 did, only now it says 3.2 ROM, Kickstart version 47.96, copyright 2021, Hyperion Entertainment. So there we go. So you can put all your Kickstart ROMs onto that card and boot into any of them. Normally, to go into any of these ROMs, you'd normally get like you could buy a kickstart switcher, which you'd have to put inside your Amiga, which would actually have to have physical actual ROMs on there. Or if you wanted to drop down to 1.3 to play like Amiga 500 games, for instance, you'd have to put what's called reload kick in there. I'll actually show you how reload kick works at some point, even though I don't actually need reload kick, but anyway, I'll just show you how reload kick works at some point. But anyway, that's is it for this video, and I will see you in the next one.